The fluorescent lights hummed overhead in the small supermarket, casting a sterile glow over the aisles. Emily pushed her squeaky cart slowly, her tired eyes scanning price tags as though she were decoding a secret message. To most shoppers, grocery shopping was routine. To Emily, it was an exercise in survival. Every cent mattered. Every item placed in the cart was weighed against what she could give up tomorrow. Her daughter, Lily, sat strapped into the child seat of the cart, gumming the corner of a plastic toy. She was only 9 months old, her wide blue eyes brimming with innocent wonder. Emily smiled at her, though her own chest ached. Babies didn't know when cupboards were nearly bare. They didn't understand that diapers cost almost as much as rent when you didn't have enough to begin with. Emily worked 2 part-time jobs, cleaning houses in the mornings and waiting tables at night. The wages barely covered their 1-bedroom apartment. Most nights she came home with sore feet, blistered hands, and just enough energy to collapse on the couch. She had tried cloth diapers for a time to save money, but constant washing left her exhausted and the baby with rashes. Disposable diapers weren't a luxury, they were a necessity she couldn't keep up with. Still, she told herself she would make it work. She always had. When she reached the checkout, Emily placed her items on the belt with a careful hand. A half-empty box of generic cereal, 1 gallon of milk, a pack of frozen vegetables, and the big item, the one that made her stomach twist as she placed it down, a pack of diapers. The cashier, a teenage boy who looked more interested in his phone than the task at hand, began scanning. Beep, beep, beep. That'll be $28.46, he said flatly. Emily swallowed hard. She knew her bank balance, $23.19. She had been calculating it all morning. She hoped, prayed, that maybe she miscalculated, maybe there was a little extra. She slid her debit card into the machine, her hand trembling slightly. The screen blinked. Processing. Then came the dreaded word, declined. Her heart dropped. She tried again, her face hot, but the result was the same. Behind her, she could hear the shuffle of feet, a sigh, the tap of someone's impatient fingers on their cart. Emily forced a shaky smile at the cashier. "I'm so sorry, could you just take off the diapers?" The boy shrugged and began rescanning without much care. To him, it was nothing more than an inconvenience. To Emily, it was humiliation, another reminder that she was failing. Not failing herself, but failing Lily. She bit her lip as tears threatened to form. Then, a deep voice cut through the tension. "Leave the diapers." Emily froze. Slowly, she turned. Standing behind her was a tall man in a sharp suit. His salt and pepper hair was neatly combed, his posture straight, his expression calm but firm. He held nothing but a bottle of water and a protein bar, clearly not here for a big grocery run. "Excuse me," Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man stepped forward. "Leave the diapers on the bill," he told the cashier. Then he added, "and ring everything twice." The cashier blinked. "Twice?" "Yes," the man replied. "Once for her, once for me. I'll cover both." Gasps rippled through the line. Emily's face burned with a mix of shame and disbelief. "No, no, you don't have to." The man shook his head, his eyes kind but resolute. "I insist. This ends today. Dash dash dash." The groceries were bagged, and the man paid without hesitation. Emily stood there clutching Lily, still trying to process what had happened. When he handed her the bags, his smile was warm but steady. "My name's David," he said. "I know you don't know me, and you don't owe me anything. But I want to help." Emily stammered. I can't accept." "Yes, you can," David interrupted gently. "Because I see my sister in you. Years ago, she was standing exactly where you are. Working multiple jobs, raising a baby alone, barely scraping by. I helped her back then. And I promised myself that if I ever had the chance again, I'd do the same." Emily's lips trembled. "But why me?" David hesitated. Most people in that store didn't know who he was. They didn't know that David Widmore was the CEO of one of the fastest-growing baby product companies in the country. He had built his empire after watching his sister's struggles. He wanted to make parenting easier, but in the process, he had spent more time in boardrooms than in grocery aisles. And here was reality, raw and unfiltered, staring him in the face. "I run a company," he said carefully. "We make diapers, formula, strollers, everything parents need. But all the products in the world don't mean anything if moms like you can't afford them. I've spent years talking about families like yours, but today I realized I haven't truly seen them. Emily clutched Lily tighter, her heart racing. I don't want charity. David shook his head. This isn't charity, it's responsibility. If I can lighten your burden, I should. And I will. He slipped a sleek business card into one of her bags. Call this number tomorrow morning. I'll make sure diapers are delivered to your doorstep every month for the next 2 years. No charge. Emily nearly collapsed. Are you serious? As serious as Lily's smile, David said softly, glancing at the baby. The next morning, Emily called the number. She half expected a voicemail box or a secretary brushing her off. But to her surprise, David himself answered. He spoke kindly, asking about her schedule, her needs, her daughter. Within a week, a shipment arrived at her door. Cases of diapers, formula, wipes, and even a brand new crib. Emily cried when she opened the boxes. She sat on the floor, Lily babbling beside her, and sobbed, not out of weakness, but out of sheer relief. For the first time in months, she didn't have to choose between food and diapers. She didn't have to apologize to her baby for not being enough. But David's help didn't stop there. The story spread quietly through his company. At first, it was just an anecdote he shared with a few board members, but soon, it became the seed of something bigger. The board launched a program called, No Baby Left Behind. The initiative pledged to provide diapers and baby essentials to struggling families across the nation. In the first year, thousands of parents like Emily received help. Local shelters partnered with the company, distribution centers opened, and what began as one act of kindness became a movement. David visited Emily once more, months later, to see how she and Lily were doing. She was stronger now, brighter. With the burden of basic supplies lifted, she had managed to enroll in community college classes at night. She dreamed of becoming a nurse. You gave me more than diapers, she told him tearfully. You gave me a chance to breathe again. A chance to hope. David smiled, humbled. You did all the hard work. I just gave you a little room to do it. Years later, Emily would tell Lily the story, the day a stranger stepped in at the checkout line, the day everything changed. She told her that kindness doesn't always come in grand gestures, sometimes it begins with one word spoken in a crowded store, leave the diapers. And Lily, wide-eyed and curious, would ask, why did he help us, Mommy? Emily would smile softly, because he believed no baby should be left behind. And because he believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And somewhere, in another checkout line, another parent would hear those same words spoken by someone inspired by David's act, words that would ripple forward, carrying hope to the next person in need. All because one man stood in line, saw a young mother struggle, and decided, this ends today. The grocery store was bright and noisy, but Emily felt like she was moving through a fog. She pushed the squeaky cart down the aisles with one hand and held her 9-month-old daughter, Lily, balanced on her hip. She had learned how to juggle both in the last year, cart, baby, diaper bag, exhaustion, but today her chest felt heavier than usual. The cart held only a few things: a gallon of milk, a box of generic cereal, some frozen vegetables. Tucked carefully at the bottom was the item she had debated over all week, a pack of diapers. Diapers were expensive, and Emily had run out of tricks. Cloth diapers had failed. They only gave Lily rashes and left Emily with piles of laundry she didn't have the strength to wash after her double shifts. So here she was, silently praying that she could stretch her last few dollars. She knew exactly how much was in her bank account, $23.19. The diapers alone cost almost $20. That left a razor-thin margin, but she hoped she had done her math right. At the checkout, the teenage cashier scanned each item without looking up. Beep, beep, beep. That'll be $28.46, he mumbled. Emily's throat tightened. She swallowed hard, inserted her debit card, and whispered a silent plea. Processing. Her heart pounded. Then came the word that made her knees weak: declined. The sound seemed louder than the chatter around her. People shifted impatiently in line. Someone coughed. A woman sighed. Emily's face burned. She tried again, her hand trembling. Declined. Again. Declined. She forced a weak smile at the cashier. I'm so sorry, could you just take off the diapers? The boy shrugged and began rescanning, unfazed. To him, it was routine. To Emily, it was devastation. She felt tears pressing at the corners of her eyes. Not because of her own embarrassment, but because she knew what it meant. Another night of rationing the last few diapers she had at home, whispering apologies to Lily, praying she wouldn't run out before her next paycheck. Then, a voice behind her broke through. "Leave the diapers." Emily froze. Slowly, she turned. Behind her stood a tall man in a dark suit, his salt and pepper hair neatly combed, his posture confident but approachable. He carried only a bottle of water and a protein bar, hardly the grocery haul of someone who belonged in this part of town. "Excuse me," Emily asked faintly. The man nodded toward the cashier. "I said, leave the diapers on the bill. And ring everything twice." The cashier frowned. "Twice? Yes. Once for her, once for me. I'll pay for both." A murmur ran through the line. Someone whispered, "Did you hear that?" Emily's cheeks flushed hotter. "No, no, you don't have to," she stammered. The man raised a hand gently. "I insist. This ends today." The words hung in the air, firm and final. Emily felt her chest tighten. She didn't know what he meant, but in that moment, with the eyes of strangers on her, she wanted to cry, not from shame this time, but from the sudden, startling relief that someone cared. The man handed his card to the cashier, paid without hesitation, and carried the bags toward her. He smiled warmly, offering them as though it were the most natural thing in the world. "My name's David," he said, "and I think you and I need to talk." Part 2. The CEO's Promise. Emily clutched Lily in one arm and the bags in the other, still dazed. Strangers didn't usually intervene. Strangers didn't usually say things like "this ends today." "Why would you do that?" she asked, softly. David's expression was steady, but his eyes softened. "Because I've seen this before. Years ago, my younger sister stood exactly where you are. Her card declined, a baby in her arms, shame written all over her face. I helped her then, and I promised myself, if I ever got the chance again, I wouldn't look away." Emily's lips trembled. "But I don't want charity." "This isn't charity," David replied. "It's responsibility. I can help, so I will." He reached into his pocket and handed her a sleek business card. "Call this number tomorrow morning. Tell them your name. I'll make sure diapers are delivered to your doorstep every month for the next 2 years." Emily stared at him, stunned. "Are you serious?" David smiled faintly, as serious as Lily's smile. The next morning, Emily almost didn't call. She half expected it to be fake, some cruel joke. But her desperation overpowered her doubts. She dialed the number, her heart racing. To her shock, David himself answered. He spoke kindly, asking how she was holding up, how old Lily was, whether she had family nearby. He didn't sound like a stranger anymore. He sounded like someone who cared. Within a week, a delivery truck pulled up outside her apartment. Stacks of boxes arrived, diapers, wipes, formula, even a brand new crib. Emily sat on the floor surrounded by the supplies, tears streaming down her cheeks. For the first time in months, she could breathe. But David's impact didn't end there. The story made its way into the halls of his company. His board of directors learned what he had done, and soon, an idea blossomed into something bigger. They launched a program called No Baby Left Behind, pledging to provide essentials to struggling families across the country. In the first year alone, thousands of parents like Emily received help. Shelters partnered with the initiative. Delivery centers opened. What started as one man's kindness became a movement. Months later, David visited Emily. She greeted him at the door, stronger, brighter. With the burden of basic supplies lifted, she had managed to enroll in night classes at the community college. She wanted to become a nurse. "You gave me more than diapers," she told him tearfully. "You gave me a chance to hope again." David shook his head humbly. "You did the hard part. I just gave you space to do it." Emily smiled through her tears. For once, she didn't feel like the girl whose card got declined. She felt like a mother who could finally dream again. Years later, Emily would tell Lily the story. She'd explain how one stranger had changed everything. She'd tell her about the words that carried them through the darkest moment, "This ends today." And Lily, wide-eyed and curious, would ask, "Why did he help us, Mommy?" Emily would smile softly and reply, "Because he believed no baby should ever be left behind. And because he believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." And in that answer, Lily would learn the lesson her mother carried forever, that sometimes the smallest act of kindness can end a cycle of struggle, and begin a lifetime of hope. All because, in one small supermarket, a man in line chose to say, "This ends today."